I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the concept of hormesis. And what hormesis is a mild physical or mental stress that in a large dose would produce morbidity or even mortality, but in a small dose can be healthful and rejuvenating. And there's a number of these concepts that are popular today, and fasting is definitely one of those. There are a couple of other examples of hormesis which are popular right now, and those are cold stress, which is, people might have heard of Wim Hof, who promotes cold stress and has done remarkable things in very cold water. And then there is also some scientific literature around heat stress that one would experience if you're in a sauna or a steam bath. And when you think about all three of these activities, if taken to extreme, calorie restriction, one would starve to death, you can freeze to death, or die of heat stroke. So taken in the extreme, these are significant and potentially even lethal stresses. But in a small amount, these behaviors can kick in physiologic mechanisms that help the body cope with the stress. You can kind of think of this as the body thinking, okay, I'm experiencing caloric restriction here, or it's very hot and it's very cold, so I better make sure that I'm in tip-top shape in order to rectify this situation. I may have to go out and hunt for more food, or I may have to extract myself from this cold water, or I might have to figure out how I'm going to get out of this very hot situation. And there's things we can do to turn on that mechanism, and then these are three examples. In terms of the literature around fasting, and there's sort of two types of fasting that are discussed in the literature. There's calorie-restricted fasting, and then there's time-restricted eating, which doesn't really address the total number of calories. But in order to turn on some of these physiologic repair mechanisms, one of the simplest ways to do that reaps most of the significant benefit is if one can just fast for 12 hours. So what I recommend people do is, if you just take note of the time when you finish your dinner, and note of the time when you're having your breakfast in the morning, when you're breaking your fast, which is where, of course, that word originates, and see how long that is in your own life. Maybe it's 8 hours, maybe it's 10 hours. But if you can gently extend that to 12 hours, you really are probably reaping most of the rewards, and there is very little, if no risk, to not eating for 12 hours.